Okay, so let's start with our creative drawing. We're going to turn these objects into characters, as I've said. So we've seen this in like Disney, a lot of Disney films where they turn an object into a character. So for example, we have a Beauty and the Beast where they have the candle and they turn it into a person. So a lot of times we can turn an object into a person. Okay, so what you'll need is pencil, paper, eraser maybe, and maybe a pen. Maybe. You can also get colored pencils. So if you have like pastels or colors, you can use that as well. But I don't have mine today, so we can just do black and white. Okay, so let's get started. Let's turn the strawberry into a character. So when I look at it, you can come up with your own design as well. But when you look at it, you can kind of identify, okay, what might be the hair or what might be the rest of the body. Decide that for yourself. So for example, I might want to turn the leaves into the character's hair because it's at the top. So just do some sketches. Today's really just about being creative. Can you see that? Okay, good. And today, because there's no structure, just kind of, you can start shading whenever you want. So if you remember previous drawing classes, we always did step by step, right? But today you can decide for yourself, oh, I want to start shading now. And you can add some shading. And remember, we're not drawing a fruit, we're drawing a person or a character based on the fruit or the object. So I might want to turn this into hair. So I'm turning the leaves into the character's hair. And let's make this a cute little fairy looking thing. So for the face, if I want to go for a cute character, you might want to make it round rather than sharp. So I'm going to make the head almost like a circle to copy the shape of the strawberry. And then maybe the dots, the little seeds, can become freckles on the fairy's face. Okay, and once I've added the texture, I have my fruit already turned mostly into my character. Now it's part of the character design. So that means expressions. So what kind of face is my character making? Are they smiling, sad, angry? Think of a face that they're making. And now we're going to draw those facial features. So eyes, maybe a nose, mouth, maybe ears. I like to start with the mouth because that's usually the most expressive part on the face. This is a cartoonish style. So this is the mouth and it's opening all the way to the bottom of the face. Hello, hello, welcome.
Hello, sorry, my iPad is problem. I try many times then come in.
Oh, there's a problem with the iPad?
Yeah. I don't know.
Okay.
Thank you.
No worries, welcome.
Yeah.
Okay, so draw on the mouth. And maybe I want some teeth on the inside. And then you can just color that in. Hello, welcome.
The stock price is dropping like a rock.
Today we're doing
So
character
it had to
design.
have
Oh,
something.
Okay.
okay, so character design is where we turn an object, so usually not a person, into a person. So we're doing the character for the strawberry right now. You can come up with your own design, but what I've shown is that I'm going to turn the leaves into the hair. And the strawberry, the body of the strawberry has become the face. So I'm turning this into a person, essentially. And then now we're just adding the facial features. And you really just need a pencil or a pen and just doodle away. Today's more of like an experiment. Okay, for the eyes, I want to draw two big seeds, almost like it's surprised. And then you can also shade the cheeks a little bit. That's what I like to do. So it looks like there's different values rather than just white. Hello, welcome. And then I'm just going to shade the leaves to make them a little bit darker. Notice how I'm making the tips of the leaves or the hair a little bit darker than the inside because I'm trying to copy the coloration of the leaves on the actual plant because you notice it's darker on the outside and then when it gets to the center, it almost becomes white as we see in real strawberries. So making the tips of the leaves a little bit darker as a design choice. And that's pretty much it for the first one because it's more of a warm-up to get everybody thinking about how to turn an object into a person. And we're not going to do the rest of the body because there's really not much to go off of from this picture. But once we move to the other ones, I think we'll have a better idea. Okay, so check, strawberry is done. We've done our first character design. Now we can move on to the next one. And I'm wondering which one we should do because there's a couple different options here. Oh, why is it tilted? Just a second. Okay. For the next one, there's some interesting options here. Let's turn the teapot into a character. So this is a little bit tricky because there's different parts to it now. With the strawberry, we only had one shape, one general shape. And maybe the leaves was a separate component. But with the kettle, it's a little bit different because you have a spout and all these other parts that we have to turn into parts of the character. So the first thing that I always do is I look at it and I'm thinking, how can I turn this into a human figure? So that means looking at different parts. Maybe the lid can turn into the head, or maybe this could be the lace on his clothes. You can also think of it from a fashion standpoint. What kind of clothes can this look like? If you just want to draw the jar or just the teapot, that's okay too. Let's try and turn this into a person. So for me, I'm going to turn this into the face, and then the bottom is going to become the body. And then we'll have a hat. So starting off, I'm going to do a rough sketch of a body first. So if you've never drawn bodies before, just follow along. It's really simple. You just need shapes to build the figure. If you've done this before, that's great. So you kind of already know. So an oval egg shape for the head is usually what we're used to. And then you're going to have the body, which is kind of like a round rectangle. And it's like popping out at the side. It's usually wider at the top as it gets to the bottom. And then the center is torso. And for this drawing, when we're turning this into a figure, let's just do the top half of the body. So let's not draw the legs. So I'm going to just draw a box so I know where to stop. And then draw the pelvis, which is also kind of like a copy of this shape, but upside down. Going to draw the shoulders, which are just 2 circles for the joints. And then I'll decide what to do with the arms later. But right now, let's start with the top. I like to work from top to bottom. That's usually a bad habit, but it's easier that way. Okay, so I'm going to turn this shape, this the curve of the top into the rim of a hat. So bear with me. It's a little hard to see, but I'm going to draw using the sketch as a guideline. You can also move the different parts around. So for example, this little grip, the handle, I'm going to move it to the right a little bit. I'm going to shade the inside, which is just this area, to show that it's going in. Almost like a lily pad. Okay, and looking at the teapot, it has quite an elegant shape. So very classic, as a very classic silhouette. So for the character, we want to copy that, the feel of the original object. So by elegant, I'm probably going to turn the face into something not as round as this one, but something a little bit more sharp to give the effect. Sharp and porcelain-like, because it is ceramic. So maybe the chin will be a little bit more pointed than this first drawing that we did. And then connect the neck. I'm thinking for the clothes, we can also have the same motif of this frill, almost like collar going on for the neckline. So we did the same thing for the hat. Now we can bring it down here again and repeat the pattern. Because it really is a unique design, and we want to keep that going throughout our design for the character. And here's a fun little thing, how to draw frills. So frill is just the curve of the fabric. In this case, it is this very subtle wave on the edge here. So what I like to do for this one is you just do a curly squiggly line, just roughly. And then every time the curve pops out, you add a tapered line. So every time here, and then down here, and then down here. So essentially what's happening is you're drawing the edge of that curve. We're turning this 2D object into a 3D object. And same up top. There's going to be a line there. A line here. And maybe a line here as well. Okay, and then for the rest of the teapot, let's come up with a very exciting design. So something that copies the shape of the teapot as well. So I'm thinking I'm going to make the close almost like a balloon. Because we want to have the exact feeling of the original object. So in fact, we didn't even need to draw the frame. Just going to get rid of that. And it's kind of funny, but we're going to add the different limbs to it and it'll make sense. Something a little bit more avant-garde, kind of like those clothes that you see in high fashion. And I'm going to turn this handle into kind of like a piece of fabric that's probably popping out from the side. And I quite like the shape, so I'm going to keep it going. Maybe do a copy of the handle. And actually, I'm going to make a big change. I want to have this part be the highlight of our character. So the way that the cup is going up and above the lid. So I'm going to do a more ambitious design. I'm going to do a second layer. Second layer of frills. And hopefully that'll make it look more cohesive. I'm thinking of all wrapping that. Imagine if this were fabric, I'm wrapping it into this corner here. Because I like that movement in the design. For now, let's also add the flowering stencil on the outside. There's some branches with smaller flowers, so add those as well. For variety. And now that I'm thinking about it, I might actually change some things as well. Again, so I'm going to turn the silhouette, remove this, and just keep it as a robe. Because when I look at the picture and I squint, I'm kind of seeing that maybe this looks like the head and then the body, so like the sides are curving, almost like it's a cape. A very long and thick cape. So I'm just going to ignore these parts and keep them out of my design. Instead, I'm going to turn the shape into a very wide rope. So if I continued my drawing, it would probably go all the way down. You can also add some fabric folds, so clothing folds. Okay, and for the face, I'm thinking of just keeping it very simple because we want that porcelain look. So instead of drawing eyes, I'll shade around the eyes to create the impression of eyes, if that makes any sense. So I'll just sketch the outline of the eyes that I want. And I'm thinking just like very slanted, like thin cat-like eyes. Kind of looks like a robot. And then I'm going to shade around the eyes. And for the mouth, I think I'm just going to leave the face empty, just because I feel that the porcelain wouldn't have a face except the eyes. Because it's a very silent, the color scheme and the shape all kind of show a very silent character. Very cold. I guess that's how I interpret it, but it's up to you how you want to interpret it. Okay, let's move on to the next one. Honestly, I don't even know how I feel about this drawing, but I'm gonna conclude and move to the next one. And sometimes it's okay. You might not feel inspired by an image, but you just gotta keep going. Okay, next one. Let's do a mushroom design. For this one, let's pick let's do something a little bit more with more movement. So for both of these, they're kind of straightforward, looking at the camera or looking at you, and it's a very frontal, symmetrical view. For this one, let's do a little bit more of a gestural thing. So how about we turn this into a character with a very big hat. Because when I see this mushroom, all I can really see is like a hat. Like a sun hat, a very wide one. So without further ado, let's do that on this side. Okay, so before I start, I'm going to think about how I want my character to face. So what's the pose? Okay, I have one in mind. It's going to be walking. So we're going to have the legs moving, obviously, and it's going to look to the right. So let's begin. I want this to be kind of like a whimsical, magical character. So now I'm looking at the bottom of the mushroom. No ears. Actually, let's cover the side of the face with some of the frills. Because we know on a mushroom, there's the tiny little hairs at the very top. Let's give it big bug eyes. Kind of looking mischievously to the side. So for those eyes, if you're curious about how to draw them, basically you have two ovals and you split it in half, but you leave a blank in the middle for a curved highlight. And then you just color in that side. It's a very cartoon style. If you prefer something else, go for it. And I want my mushroom to be happy. So let's put it a little smile. Okay. Now let's move on to the body. As I said, I want it to kind of look like it's walking. So if I drew a skeleton here, probably looks something like very simple. So there's a little bit of that movement in the pose. So this is going to be the frame for this. I'm going to give it a little neck. And also a frilled collar to kind of copy on this mushroom, you can't see it, but some of these mushrooms, they have like a scarf of white. I don't know what's happening, but it's like the skin is peeling off or something. And I love the cape design, so I'm just going to keep going with it. Going to give it a little cape, and then on it, on the edge, I'm going to add a little pattern to make the design more cohesive overall. Because if it were just a flat edge, there's not much character. But if we add a texture or pattern, it brings us closer to the object. So always look at the picture and see what kind of textures, patterns you can find. Okay, before I do the rest of the clothes, let's move back up to the hat, sorry. So the hat underneath the mushroom, you can't see it in this picture, but they have those lines, right? Like these lines. And this is where the spores come from. So this is under the mushroom. We're going to have that same pattern, but coming out from underneath this hat. I'm going to add a few lines. Radiating out to the edge. The mushroom, and some lines can be darker than others. Do the same thing for this side as well. But you want to have the lines kind of look like they're very dark in the middle and then lighten as they get to the outside. And then on top of the hat, these little white spots, can add those as well. Make some of them bigger than others, so vary the sizes as well as the location. So you don't want all of them in one area. Spread them out as best as you can. And then, because the mushroom is red, in the drawing it looks white. And one thing you can do to fix that, if you don't have colors, just shade. So when you shade, sorry, when you look at red, it actually is quite dark in terms of the value. So we can just copy that value by shading. Just make the mushroom dark. And I'm carefully going around all these tiny little dots I've placed. If they disappear, that's okay as well. Okay, one more change actually. I'm not sure how I feel about the cape, the shape of the cape. So I'm now changing it to become more of a taller silhouette. So I made it too wide, I feel, but I'm going to keep the same shape at the bottom. Like that. Then I also have to take into account the original idea for the pose. So if the leg is moving forward, it's probably going to kick up this corner a little bit. So now it's curved this way. Probably going to go up a little bit on this side as well. Okay, and then now I'm just adding the arms. So I wanted the arms to go kind of like they're walking. And I kind of like this line here, but I'm not going to draw it. I'm just going to use it as a reference point for the sleeves. hands, I'm just going to use a little, like one of those cartoon mitts. And give it some small round feet. You notice how I'm keeping everything quite round? Because when I look at the mushroom, it's quite a round object. So I want to keep that going. Okay, and I think the body is a little bit empty. So this whole chunk here is just white and it's a little boring to look at. So let's give some accessories. For example, maybe a sling bag, something to carry. And looking at the picture, you can turn the environment into objects as well, or part of the design. For example, the leaves, or sorry, not leaves, the grass can be turned into maybe a little carry bag because of the lines. You can also make a grass basket or something like that. So we also incorporate the environment into our character design. Personally, I really like these grasses over here, more like it's not just one stick, but it's kind of like a leaf. I'm not sure if you can see that, but over here there are some fuzzy grasses. So I'm going to add that to the bottom of this clothing. Some sort of a pattern. And I think that's good for this character. Sometimes I was thinking that we could add more, but sometimes less is more. So we don't want to overcomplicate a design. Okay, and let's move to the last one. I have two options here. I'm still deciding which one, but let's do the Listerine mouthwash because it's got sharp angles. And so far, all of our characters have been very rounded, a lot of round shapes. Let's do one that doesn't have too many round shapes. Okay, let's start. On our last drawing, I'm going to flip to a new page. Okay, and for this one, I'm going to take up the whole page. So I'm going to do a
Hi,
full
hi.
body spread.
Hi,
Yes.
teacher. Yeah, not finished. I make the picture.
Oh, not yet.
Yeah, not yet. The last one is not yet.
Okay, I'll keep it up. Let me know when you.
I make the picture. Yeah, before the mushroom.
Oh, before the strawberry or the.
Mushroom. Yeah, I not finished.
Do you need this one?
Mushroom.
Okay.
Yeah. You make the picture. You make the picture, not that one.
Oh, this
yeah,
one?
yeah. Yes.
Okay,
yes.
okay, I'll keep it.
Okay.
There you go.
Thank you.
No worries.
Yeah.
Okay. Is everybody okay? I'm actually just going to do it at the bottom of this page, but I'm going to flip the notebook around. Okay. You just slowly move into the Listerine bottle. Listerine Cool Mint. So this is kind of a household classic. And if you don't know what it is, it's basically mouthwash and it's very minty, like very fresh and a little bit spicy. It's kind of like water. And it has a very interesting design to it, I think, as a product. So it has, right now it's blue. So it's giving a very cool, refreshing kind of tone. So for a character, we can focus more on sharp angles, so lines, and also more kind of like geometric shapes, like squares, rectangles, triangles. So let's take a look at this image and see how we want to turn it into a character. Okay, let's just try it. So for the head, or for the pose, I want it to be a very sharp pose, something refreshing. Let's do a one arm up, raised arm. Okay, so for the pose, if I were to draw it on this side, just be a half body, and this arm is raised, and this arm is down. So it'd be something like that. Okay, and let's start sketching. So when you sketch for this one, you can try to use more sharp angles rather than curves. So remember how earlier we were doing this character, we did a very round oval face. For this one, just use lines and see how that changes our character. So this shoulder is going downwards this way. Maybe it's going to have a broad torso. And we don't care about the legs too much. The focus will just be on the upper half of the body. Okay, and then for the arm that's going up, it's going to connect from this corner of the shoulder. You can break the arm up into two parts. This is the arm, and when you raise your arm, the elbow usually sits right at the same level as the head. You can try this yourself too. If you raise your arm, the elbow usually ends around the top of your head. So that's just a good reference point to have. And then draw the rest of the arm disappearing into the page. I don't have space, but if you have, you can try drawing the rest of the arm. So once again, the elbow is usually at the same level at the top of the head when you raise the arm. When it's going down, the elbow sits around the belly button line. So that's usually the middle of the body or the middle of the torso. Sometimes it can be a little bit lower. Just gonna add a line there. And then continue the rest of the arm, which is about the same length as the upper arm. For the hand, for now, you can just draw a small rectangle plus fingers. We'll worry about the fingers later. But all we need to do right now is just to draw the general shapes. Okay, and if you have the foundation ready, we can start adding the different features. So I like to start with the head. Once again, I'm going to use this top of the bottle, the cap, as hair because that's just the easiest match for me. And I don't know if you can see this, but on the cap, there's these tiny little lines to help you grip when you open the cap, but that's irrelevant here. Basically, we know that there's lines. And for the hair, maybe I could do hair that has these sharp lines. It'll almost be like a bowl cut. And notice how when I'm shading, I'm keeping my lines very, very sharp. Almost no curves at all. And for the face, the jaw and the chin will be very sharp and angular. So let's just keep how flat it is. Let's make the neck a little bit wider. And for the face, I'm not thinking of drawing too much, but you can also add, let's see how square eyes would look. Or maybe just a very flat eyes, kind of like these ones. I don't know. Let's keep trying and see which one would fit best. Or should we go for a more refreshing face to fit the product? Let's try that. So first of all, I'm going to add ears, because I forgot about that. And then sharpen up the edges of the hair. Because it is a mouthwash, I'm probably thinking dental hygiene. Let's make the mouth really wide and smiley. And it's just going to be 2 rows of teeth. Okay, I've decided to make it look a little bit more happy than what I originally intended. So for these ones, I've just decided to use a very cartoon curve. So the tops are just 2 semicircles, and then you add the eyes, which are kind of like seeds. You can also add a line to the bottom so it looks a little bit more intense. But be careful, if you make the pupils too, or the irises, these dots too close to each other, it can look like it's going cross-eyed. Okay, and then let's draw the clothes. So for these, I'm thinking a very simple t-shirt and then maybe something on the outside. But we're keeping it simple because I think the tone or the feeling of refreshing probably doesn't need too many complicated designs. So let's do a simple t-shirt color. So that'll be kind of where the blue starts. And draw the sleeves. And when you're wearing the sleeves, they tend to fall down or slide down a little bit. And there's that clothing fold. When you raise the arm, there's a little fold in the bend. So now I'm just erasing the frames or the sketch marks and drawing the clothes on top of that. Okay, and then let's add just some sort of a graphic design or pattern on the shirt that copies the sticker here. So let's say the shirt is blue. Let's have a white stripe going across the front. So that's the Listerine, the white part. You can also add a tiny strip at the bottom to copy the yellow. It's just a little detail to bring the two designs closer to each other. Then I'm just going to shade the rest of the shirt. Because once again, if you have colors, you can use those. Pencil crayons or oil pastels. So for this activity, pencil crayons work a little bit better. Or markers. to make this even closer, you can also just write Listerine. That'll really make the design make sense. Okay, and I think that's it for today. So kind of an interesting class, not gonna lie. Do you want me to keep this here for a little bit? Okay, I'll just keep this, I'll keep everything up in case you want to look at it for reference. But we are done.